Hair for reading us in reading line, and I hope you also enjoyed the Anchor Christmas Ale that I managed to scrounge up at various stores this week to serve to us. It's one of my favorite traditions. They tweak the recipe every year, and it's a fun, festive beer to have. So I hope you'd enjoyed it, and if there's any left, I'm probably taking it to Karen Philbrick's tonight. So we are going to skip introductions today because we have a very busy and full program, but I do want to have our Red Badgers with traveling mics introduce themselves because we will be calling upon them later. So if they could.
President Sal, Robert Massey with Symphony San Jose. My sponsor is Dick Huneff.
Awesome.
And good afternoon, President Sal. My name is David Cowan. I am a sales and sales management coach and consultant. Happy to be here today. My sponsor is Ed Correa.
Thank you, Dave. Make sure that you guys can hear me. So today we hold our club's annual meeting to elect members to the foundation board, club board, and to choose our president-elect nominee. This annual meeting is required by our bylaws, which also spell out the composition of each nominating committee. So first up, representing the foundation nominating committee is Foundation President Dave Davis. Come on up, Dave. You've got your script? Do you have a script? Yeah, your script. Good.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure as part of the nominating committee to share with you the new officers that, new trustees that are coming in and officers. You'll see the whole format up here. So there's the nominating committee. It's myself, Audrey, Mauricio, Sal, Karen, and Darren Sparks. So next slide, please. Do I do it?
But then they did it because so now we screwed up, but that's okay.
Well,
go ahead, read what you're going to read.
I'm on with the show. This is a fun part too, because you get to nominate yourself, but myself. So in proposing the following trustees to be reelected to a new 2-year term, they're already serving, but they can continue to serve another 2-year term is Dave Davis, Shashir Doctor, and Audrey Fox.
Are there any foundation board nominations from the floor? Seeing none, is anyone opposed? Besides you, you don't get to vote. Seeing none, these nominees are unanimously reelected to a 2-year term for 2023-25. Congratulations, Dave, Shashir, and Audrey.
Okay, the next set is there's openings for 4 new trustees, and we nominate the following: Jaime Chavez, Alfreda Egan, Daniel Nevis, and Brenda Sweeney to a new 2-year term. The trustees, they'll begin July 1, 2023 and serve through June 30, 2025.
Are there any foundation board nominations from the floor? Seeing none, is anyone opposed? And seeing none there, Jaime, Alfreda, Daniel, and Brenda are elected as new foundation trustees to serve 2-year terms for 2023 to 25. Congratulations. We'd like to thank Chris Duke, who will reach the end of his term in June.
Yeah, I also want to mention, let's see, going back. Also want to mention and say thank you to Tom Coombs, Mauricio Cordova, and Sean O'Kane. Sean's finishing his term, and then Tom and Mauricio are unfortunately, they're moving away. So Tom's here today, so make sure you say hello to him. And yeah, they have different situations, and Mauricio's moving to a new job in the city. Tom's moving to Sacramento. And
The city,
close to
Santa
his family.
Clara?
What's that?
The city, Santa Clara? Sunnyvale? Which city?
My bad. It's to the smaller city in the north. So there you go. My bad. Anyway, my bad. Anyway. Oh, you all love comedy, don't you?
Back on script.
Yes. That's what happens when you get off script. Okay, so next we're going to nominate two vice presidents. So on the Board of Trustees, these two areas are super important, as you can imagine. So we're nominating Shashir Doctor to be Vice President of Grants, and he gets the really fun job of coordinating and distributing grants throughout the community with his committee, so it's awesome. And then Audrey, who just finished doing that this year, we're nominating for Vice President of Finance. So Shashir's term will start July 1, 2023, and Audrey's term also starts then, but she's filling in for Mauricio, so she'll actually begin January 1 of 2023, so.
Are there any nominations from the floor? Seeing none, is anyone opposed? Seeing none, I've got the hard job here. Audrey and Shashir are unanimously elected. Congratulations. And of course, as Dave said, we want to thank Audrey and Mauricio for serving as vice presidents this year. And let's thank all the trustees for their service. And of course, thank you, Dave, for serving as foundation president. Thank you. Okay, now we get on to, well, it's not my part. It's actually Karen Sununu Towery's part because she's chair of this year's club nominating committee. It's her last official act as president. But as it so happens, she has jury duty today. As you know, she's on the Santa Clara County Civil Grand Jury, and they're in session. So I'm going to be taking over for her. The nominating committee, as you can see here, is made up of the 4 third-year board members and the current, future, and past presidents. On behalf of the nominating committee today, I have 6 important announcements. 6, you can count off. It is my privilege. Oh wait, so that's your new foundation board of trustees. Here's your club nominating committee. I got a slide behind. Okay, it is my privilege today to announce that President-elect Karen Philbrick has selected Carl Salas to serve as your past president representative on the club board during next Rotary year. Congratulations and thank you, Carl. Okay, now next up are the club board directors who, if approved by you today, will serve a 3-year term commencing in July 2023. First, Bonnie Bamberg, a member since 1999. Bonnie has served the club, community, and international projects. She currently serves on the culinary and hospitality, disaster relief, and facilities committees. Sarah Klisch, a member since 2014. She served 6 years as a foundation trustee, is chair of the Lee Weimer's Emerging Artists Awards Committee, and if you've noticed, she can carry a tune. Karen Fox, a member since 2019. Karen oversees our mentor assignments and serves on the culinary as well as fun and friendship committees. And Arthur Jew, a member since 2013. He's an idea guy who serves on the program committee, having lined up some of our best speakers, and I want to thank him for this, including getting Martin Yan at our large club conference. That was fantastic. These are the 4 members that your nominating committee has nominated to be on the club board. Do I have any other nominations from the floor? Seeing none, is anyone opposed to these elections? Again, seeing none, these 4 nominees to the board of directors for 2023 to 2026 are approved. Congratulations, you'll be joining a great group. Now, at this time, of course, if we bring in 4 new board members, we have to say goodbye to 4. And our outgoing club directors are Danny Bizzuto, Steve Ellenberg, Jeff Hare, and Elizabeth Monley. They'll be ending their terms in June. We'll thank them again at the end of the year, but I want to give them a round of applause right now for their service and their service on the
Danny and
nominee.
Steve will be giving. Elizabeth, probably too.
Next comes the big one.
Jeff should, but he's not that.
Number 6.
Outside of certain circles.
That was 2, 3, 4, and 5 before. It is my pleasure to announce the nominating committee's recommendation for our president-elect who would serve as president of the Rotary Club of San Jose in 2024-25. There is truly something magical about this Rotarian who joined the club in 2010, sponsored by Pam Foley. An endowment fellow, Paul Harris Fellow, and a club board director from 2015 to 2018, this person is always ready with a smile and always says yes, and has even agreed to chair the upcoming 2023 gala. So with great pleasure and honor on behalf of this year's nominating committee, and certainly on a personal level, I present the nomination for our 2024-25 club president, Heather Lerner. Now, I don't want to disenfranchise anyone from, making a nomination. Are there any nominations from the floor that you think are better than Heather? I thought not. Seeing none, is anyone opposed to this? Seeing none, congratulations. Heather Lerner is unanimously elected to serve as our president for 24-25. May God have mercy on your soul. Heather, why don't you come up here and say a few things? As Heather's coming up here to say a few remarks, brief remarks, I want you to come up and say, hi. Yeah, it can be, you didn't know this was going to happen. I want to point out, this is your club board of directors for 2024, or starting next year. This will be the first time that our board will be majority female, and the first time that we will have female presidents back to back. Heather.
Wow, a bit verklempt. I didn't know I was supposed to make remarks. Karen, thank you. I cannot wait to follow in your year there. I will say my cute story on this was I was getting on a plane to go to Japan. It was a very impromptu trip. My son spent a month over there and said, hey, come visit. So I said, yes. So I'm getting on the plane, we're buckling, we're about to take off, and Elizabeth Monley's calling me. I'm like, oh, but I shouldn't answer. Hey, Elizabeth, I'm just taking off. What's going on? And Elizabeth is an actress. I don't know if you know that about her. We won't talk about some of the movies she's been in. Maybe you know those stories. But anyway, Elizabeth is an actress and did it so well. I totally bought all this. And then all of a sudden she said, oh, just a minute. I know you're taking off. Just a minute. I had to ask you this thing. I need something for this other event you did. And then she puts Karen Sununu-Towry on the line. And then Carl and all these names of my favorite people who've guided my Rotary journey this whole way. And I couldn't even tell my dearest friend Pam, who is my sponsor. So she's surprised today too. All I can say is thank you so much. I cannot wait. And God will have mercy on me, Sal. You'll be serving with me.
Alone or with me? I can honestly say I feel like the club is in great hands for the next couple of years. I may retire early, we'll see. Another little quick note about that, and Heather being asked while she was in an airport, second year in a row that the president-elect has been asked while they were in an airport. Karen was on a plane too, I think. So, basically, if you think you might one day be club president, avoid airports in November. It's going to happen. So we are wrapping up, we're in the last few weeks of our annual donation campaign. We're at 49% participation right now. We really would love to get that up. We know people are thinking about their end of year giving. Whatever levels you can participate, that would be great. And of course, part of that participation or that participation is separate from what we're about to do right now, which is a session of Ring the Bell, which supports our endowment, which is, of course, one of the categories we support with our annual campaign. So if we could have our traveling mics both actually start on this side, we're going to do something different and sort of sweep this way. Anyone with some good news to ring the bell? Let's stand up. Start right over there.
Hi, I'm Nicole Molesky, and I'd like to ring the bell 5 times for, as of last Tuesday, my new husband, Jay Vertu.
I just want to ring the bell for Heather Lerner today. Thank you. I'm so excited, Heather. Can't wait. One ring, please.
Hi, I'm Deanna Persai. I'd like to ring the bell 2 times, one for Heather Lerner. Woohoo! And the female power, yes. And number 2, my daughter is graduating from Purdue University in 2 weeks with a degree in computer engineering, so I'm really proud of her.
I was just going to ring it 1 time for Heather, but I'm reminded about Pam. Pam, I love you too, so ring the bell twice. Once for bringing Heather in, and then one for Heather.
So I thought it was going to be unique in this. I'm going to get on the Heather Lerner bandwagon too and ring the bell once for my dear friend Heather. And I'm so proud of Rotary for selecting her. Way to go, team.
President Sal, Mary Curtis. I want to ring the bell twice, one for the birth of my newest grandchild, a little girl named Chloe, who came a month early. And the second ring is going to be for my new book, which is coming out next February.
Awesome.
I would like to ring the bell for my son, Adam. And the reason is, the day that I decided to join Rotary a couple years ago, we were in Evanston, Illinois, touring Loyola. And as I was walking in the garage today, he texted me and he said, hey, I got into Loyola. So I'll ring the bell once for Adam and once for Heather.
Any more? Bonnie?
So President Sal, I'd like to ring the bell once for all the past female presidents that we've had, and a second time for Karen and Heather. And I'm not overlooking you. I mean, if I could, I would, but you're not, so I can't.
President Sal, I'd like to ring the bell 3 times for a beautiful young lady living in Brooklyn, New York, named Devin Davis. She celebrated her 30th birthday last Thursday, and her mom and I were happy to be there. Yeah, that would be good, right? Her mom and I were happy to be there. And then I want to ring the bell also 3 times for Heather. So there you go.
President Sal, not to overlook the tsunami of females that we are enjoying, I'd like to say thank you to Mauricio Cordova and to John and to Tom Coombs for their membership here, that it made our club even better. Thank you very much, both. Two bound.
You can always come back, Tom. You know, it's not that far. Any more? Eric Heckman.
Well, in the spirit of Scouts and Heather Lerner, my youngest son broke the Life Scout curse that I started, my 2 sons went through, and Aiden will actually be getting his Eagle on December 20th. We just set it up at History San Jose, so and he's from the Rotary troop, so ring the bell once for that one.
Heather, thank you for answering the phone.
And thank you for hanging on, not hanging up on us, hanging on until you said yes. One bell for Heather. Thanks.
Hi, I just want to ring one bell. This Christmas and New Year will be the first time ever in my life without my children. Because my son will travel in Europe with his girlfriend. My daughter will travel to Vietnam with a group of law students from the University of Chicago Law School. They will do some research on Vietnam rules of law. So I will see how I will enjoy Christmas and New Year without my children.
Well, we wish them safe travels and you will have warm holidays.
Good evening.
Nice to see you again.
2 bell for me, 1 for my daughter, she working in Tesla, another for you.
Okay. Oh, Larry, stop.
Yeah, President Sal, wait till I get through with my remarks. I'd like to ring the bell one time for Tom Coombs, whose move creates a reassessable event.
Don't forget the property taxes, December 10th. Yes. Okay. Now we are going to move on to our speaker. This is amazing. We've had a few people not be here, and so I'm introducing our speaker. Our speaker today is Gisele Bushey, who's the CEO of Loaves and Fishes. She's held that role for the past 5 years. I knew her before then. She's been amazing at this job. Under her leadership, their meal service program has gone from 547,000 meals a year to 1.8 million a year. From 547,000 meals a year to 1.8 million people served. But their funding has gone up even more, going from $3 million in 2017 to $12 million now. Her efforts have been recognized by organizations throughout the region, the state, and the country, and we are thrilled to have her here today to talk about hunger and the holidays. Gisele?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start first by thanking the preparers of our lunch and the hands that served them. Really do appreciate it. It was wonderful to be able to share a meal with all of you. But the irony is not lost on me that we come together sharing a meal, and my presentation is on hunger. Hunger, not just during the holidays, but all year round, because what we've discovered, and which is probably not news to any of you here in this room, hunger does not take a holiday. We've tripled our services since just before the pandemic in 2020. For us, 547,000 meals a year was a banner year for us, because just a couple of years prior, we had changed our model, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But first, what I'd like to ask you to do is I'd like to ask you to consider the meal that you've just had or are finishing up. And it's the last meal you're going to have today. In fact, it's the last meal you're going to have for the next 3 days or more. Because that's what happens when hunger enters your life. Hunger is an all-consuming proposition. You look for it, you seek it, you try and nail it down for yourself and your loved ones. It becomes your first priority. And what happens then, because it is so all-consuming, is that the other elements that may have come into play to cause you to find yourself being unhoused and hungry don't get attended to. And it's not just about housing. I'm the first to hold my hand up to say we need more affordable housing in the Valley. No question. But the issues that are faced by the people who are hungry in our community are multiple and they are profound. And they aren't just the folks you see on the streets. In fact, earlier this year, they did a point-in-time survey of the homeless on the streets. Number doesn't sound very large, just under 7,000 people. But consider that 7,000 people who are living on our streets. But I want you to take that number and I want you to multiply it. And I want you to multiply it and multiply it and multiply it until you reach more than 1 million. Because that's the number of people for whom food insecurity and hunger is a daily proposition in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. We call them the hidden hungry. They're the folks who serve you all throughout the day. It might have been the persons serving us today. It may even be some people in this room who were one catastrophe away from disaster, and it happened. For most of us, that happened with COVID. It completely upended our lives. Now, Loaves and Fishes has been around since 1980. And our mission and our vision are very clear. We do one thing and we do it very well. And that's to create as many avenues as possible to make sure that anyone in our community in need of a hot or prepared nutritious meal can have access to the food that they need. It's that simple. Because food is fuel. Food is education. Kids can't learn if they're not fueled up for the day. Food is employment. How can you be at your most productive if you're not fed? And if you're worried your day, throughout the day, of how you're going to feed yourself and your loved ones? Food is medicine. We know the connection between healthy, nutritious food and our ability to have to be able to live longer lives. So hunger isn't just this one thing that we, have and then we move on for the rest of our day. It travels with us throughout our day, all day long. So we started back in 1980, and it was very simple. There was a group of families that got together who wanted to do something because they saw a rising number of homeless, not just out on the streets in their community, but among the families and children of their kids' classmates. So that started out with a single meal for 11 adults and 15 children. And so for the next 35 years, we were your classic soup kitchen. We had our 2 meal service sites. We cooked meals at borrowed kitchens. We'd serve the meals ourselves, and we did it in a way called congregate dining. Now, you'll see that I'm not going by every one of my slides. We all know how to read. But I want to give you basically the heart of what it is that we do. Congregate dining is when you're able to serve a meal to folks on the line. They're able to sit and have some respite at a table. They can have their drinks refilled. They can have a chance to have a conversation, maybe pause from a very hard day, because what we hear so much from our guests is that the kindness that they receive when they come to us is usually the only kindness they experience that day. But we grew. After 2015, we changed our model. And we did what was called Soup Kitchen 2.0. We took our show on the road. We decided we were going to continue to prepare our meals on our meal service sites, but we were able to obtain some temperature-controlled trucks and started partnering with the partner organizations serving the same population that we do, but their guests couldn't get to us for a whole host of reasons: transportation, lack of income, health issues. So we started to bring the meals to our partners for distribution. And in that first year, we went from 110,000 meals a year to about 135,000, and then it exploded. By 2019, we were at 547,000 meals a year. And that was just with this one version of Loaves and Fishes, by basically putting our meals onto the trucks and getting them out to the folks in the community who need them the most. Then in 2019, we integrated a la carte, which is a food recovery program, into our portfolio of services. Now, a la carte enables us to go to partner corporations, academic institutions, other community organizations who have excess food that has been held to temp and safely kept. We pick up those meals, they are repackaged, and they are redistributed out into the community so they don't end up in the landfill. That bumped us up another 25% in the first year alone. It's now one of our fastest growing portions of the work that we do out in the community. One of our biggest partners is Meta. They've opened every single one of their dining centers throughout the Bay Area for us to pick up their excess meals, for us to redistribute out in the community. And then the pandemic hit. If COVID did anything good for any of us, for us at Loaves and Fishes, it was putting a spotlight on what we always knew, that the lives of folks in our community are much more precarious than many people realize. All it takes is one job loss, one health crisis, one mental health issue, an addiction issue, or a combination of those issues to move someone from being struggling but still housed to homeless. Perhaps they're living now in their car, or they're living in an RV, or they're living on the streets or a shelter. Those are the folks that we serve. And those are the folks who make up over 1 million folks throughout our 2 counties. In addition to who we call the working poor. Those folks are individuals who might be working 2 or 3 jobs. They might be trying to cobble things together in order to keep, hearth and home together, and yet they can't make all their ends meet. So they come to us. So they don't have to make an impossible decision between, do I have to pay the rent or get that prescription or buy food for myself and my family? What happened with COVID, in addition to shining a spotlight on the issue of hunger and food insecurity for us, is that it tripled our services. We went from 2,500 meals a day to over 7,500 meals a day. We ended our last fiscal year at 1.8 million meals. We will likely exceed 2 million meals by June of next year. We're not happy about this. This is not something we celebrate. So I thank you for your applause, but please consider the numbers are going in the wrong direction. They're just going in the wrong direction. We're so grateful that since so many of our partners are seeing their numbers level or even drop a little bit, our numbers continue to tick up because the impact on the folks who have the most to lose continues, and we know that, frankly, it's going to be long-term and profound. The average income of somebody who's working, who comes to us for assistance, is $35,000 a year. In a valley where, in order to rent a place for a family of 4, you have to be earning at least $150,000 a year. These are folks who are so far behind the 8 ball, there's no catching up for them. So we have to do something different. We have to get better about leveling the opportunity playing field across our communities. Because if we can't crack not just the nut about housing, and even not just the nut about food, but about education and employment, we are going to continue to have this long-term and very profound issue that we're going to have to deal with. We've already seen homelessness increase 55% in the last, since 2017, so what's that, 5 years. So in 5 years, it's gone up by more than half. We're going in the wrong direction with these numbers. Yes, we are building more housing. Yes, we do have wraparound services, but let's talk about that for a minute. The average time that it takes for an affordable housing project to go from concept to actual opening their doors is 3 to 5 years. The majority of the people we serve who are living on the street are already eligible for affordable housing and Section 8 housing. There's just one problem. There isn't any. So even though they've done what they've needed to do, they're on what we call, they're on their business, doing what they need to do in order to get the assistance. There's no assistance to be had. So what do we do in the meantime? Do we let them go hungry? Do we let them remain unsheltered? Or do we say, we've come to the point where people are hungry enough that enough is enough, and that we find another way? And what it means is that we recognize just how significant this problem is in the community, and not just during the holiday season, which, by the way, is when we raise most of our money, but throughout the year. Because every day, regardless of their zip code, regardless of their work circumstances, regardless of of their background, ethnicity, their socioeconomic situation, their legal status. If you are hungry and you need a meal, we're going to feed you. No questions asked. We don't qualify our gifts. You don't have to fill out the paperwork. You don't have to qualify to be at a certain income level in order to receive our services. And that's because we made that decision 42 years ago, and that's not going to change. When I came on board at Loaves and Fishes a little over 5 years ago, we were at 50 locations with our partners. We had our 2 meal service sites. We're now at 135 locations. We have 11 trucks. And by the way, the reason we went from 3 to 12 million is in the midst of a pandemic. Who knew we were going to do this, but we did it. We bought a building. We bought a building because we had a vision that we needed to centralize our kitchen here in San Jose. Right now, all of our meals are prepared in Morgan Hill at two kitchens that we utilize down there. All the food goes on the trucks, goes out to the 135 locations throughout the day, and then the trucks go back down to Morgan Hill. It adds an extra 2 hours of drive time for our driver ambassadors. So we knew we had to centralize our services. So what did we do? We bought a building. And then what did we do? We decided we're going to run a campaign to build the kitchen. And right now we are about, what would you say, David? We're about $400,000 away from paying for everything. So, and that's only because we had some supply chain issues and they decided to hike the prices on us. So we thought we were done, but we're not. But we're almost there. And our goal is to have our new kitchen open in July of next year. We're also going to be launching a culinary institute because we decided that it wasn't enough to just feed folks. We needed to find a way to help folks break out of their cycle of homelessness and hunger and food insecurity and get employment, get job training that makes them marketable out in the community. So we're launching a culinary institute as well. In addition, our goal is that, and I hate that it's a goal for us, our goal is to reach 2.5 million meals by the end of 2024. Now, if COVID has taught me anything, is that I suck at forecasting. When COVID first hit, I thought, surely we'll probably see 800,000 meals jump from 547, 1.2 million. And then I thought, well, surely we're not going to see it go any higher than this. The worst is over, 1.5 million, and then 1.8 million. And now it'll be over 2 million. So now I'm getting less conservative and more realistic. And because on the horizon, we really don't see any change happening anytime soon that will enable us to see our numbers drop, we have to be prepared to serve that level by 2024. And that's where the kitchen in San Jose becomes even that much more important, because it's double the size of our current kitchen. It will centralize everything for us and allow us to kind of cast our net more widely and more broadly. We are being invited to bring our services into San Francisco and up into Fremont. So we're starting to ring the Bay Area, and I'm sad to report that we are now the largest prepared meal food provider in the Bay Area. We'd really like to not be. We also know, though, that one of the things that can help us is our a la carte program. The more we're able to pick up prepared meals and recover those, not only do we divert them from the landfill, but we're able to get those meals out to the folks who need it the most. And frankly, it doesn't cost as much for us to do that because the meals are prepared. However, we're a very lean organization. 92 cents of every dollar goes into direct services. For $2.50, we can prepare a complete meal that is 100% nutritionally balanced and meets all of the nutritional requirements in that one meal. And that's really important to us because for the vast majority of the people we serve, it's the only meal they're going to get that day. So we know we have only one shot at it. So we try and pack it with as much nutritional punch as possible. And our other most significantly growing partner has been the school districts. The schools are inviting us in to provide meals not only to the kids, but to their families, to their extended families, and the community at large who can come when we are parked at those school locations, which are for many communities, that is their hub for that community, and they are able to pick up meals for themselves, their loved ones, and even for multiple days. So that has been a growing proposition for us. And we were just at one of our elementary schools yesterday. I met with the superintendent who said, what do I have to do to get you into every one of our schools? So we're prepared, we have the capacity, we just need the support. That's all I'm going to say, except to ask you to do two things for me. One, if there's a, excuse me, I'm probably should get something to drink, but that's okay. If you have a cause that you care about, and it doesn't have to be food, but if you have a cause that you care about, think about supporting them not just during the holidays, but throughout the year, because the need continues throughout the year. And the other thing that I would ask you to do is to consider if you work at a company that has a program that likes to do team building, we are able to bring our team building program to you to help groups of volunteers put together bag lunches and hygiene kits. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. What it does for us is it gives us an opportunity, frankly, to tell our story, but it also helps create additional things that we can bring out to the folks that we serve. The hygiene kits, the bag lunches augment the hot and prepared meals that we distribute. They go out on our trucks every single day. So that would be the other thing that I would ask you to do. If you can put us in contact with whoever it is in your company that might be interested in holding one of these events, you can come to us, we can come to you. Again, we've gotten very good at taking our show on the road, so we would be happy to do that as well. I'm going to wish you all a very happy holiday. I'm going to ask if there are any questions, and as you can see, I'm hoping somebody will ask me about Maynard. Thank you.
Starting right over here with Morris.
Gisele, that great story. And thank you for the Culinary Institute. My son in the early 2000s worked for DC Central Kitchen, so you know well of what they did. Food and housing. Thank you for that, for the food, and for those who prepared the housing. Jeff Morgan, thank you for that. But I would say that food and housing is a fish. It is not teaching the unhoused how to fish. So my question to you, Gisele, is what is your vision of how you're doing that with the Culinary Institute, but other ways of teaching the unhoused how to fish?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we can do is we can make it easier for folks who are struggling financially to get access to the education and training that they need in order to break out of that cycle. The community colleges have really taken the lead in this regard by offering free tuition to those individuals who just simply don't have the financial means to afford it. Unfortunately, the numbers of slots that are available remain limited, but they are growing. So I think that is one way if we can bring educational institutions in more to help us create avenues for them to access these job training opportunities. So I think that's one way. The other is, you're absolutely right. Food, housing are inextricably linked. One without the other is simply, you can build a house and put somebody who is unhoused in it, but if they don't have the means to support themselves or feed themselves or their loved ones, all you've done is create a place with a roof over their head to continue to be hungry. So for us, it became a twofold issue. We need to help support those folks who are struggling right now with a multitude of issues and concerns, and particularly the children who find themselves in circumstances not of their making, to be able to make sure that they are fed and supported and resourced to the best of our ability while we try to help create these multiple programs that will reach out and help folks break out of that cycle. But it will take time, like anything.
President-elect Karen.
Yes. Thank you so much for that emotionally moving and content-rich presentation. A comment and a question. First, the comment. I would like to support your organization with speaker gifts during my presidential year because I'm so moved by the work that you do and know that the need is great. And I will work with you on that initiative. And two, as a mother of an elementary school student that's enrolled in a public school here in San Jose Unified School District, very intentional. 81% of the kids qualify for free or reduced lunch. A new program is rolled out this year where every child, regardless of income, will have a free meal waiting for them. My child never uses that service, and I'm deeply concerned about what happens with the food because I see kids taking trays and throwing them right in the trash. You talked about your partnership with the school district. Can you talk about how you might be able to connect in your a la carte program through that?
That's great. Well, and for some of the situations we find ourselves in with the schools, it's like anything. It's like a dance, you know, and you have to get to know your partner, right? So as we become more and more entrenched in the schools, we're able to then be able to say to them, you know, we'd like to meet with your service personnel who are providing those meals, that to make sure that they don't end up into the trash that will then end up into the landfill. Help them understand how we keep food safe and to temp well, so that when we do come to bring the meals that go out to the kids and their families in the community at the end of the school day, those are meals that we can then also integrate into some of those meals that would then go right back out into the community. So we haven't gone down that road yet, but I think it's a great opportunity to open that conversation with them, because, you know, we absolutely, and that's a great suggestion. Thank you. Since we started the a la carte program, I think last year, and David, you're going to correct me because I know I'm going to get this wrong, 4,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions eliminated through our program. And we're just getting started. So we know that it also has an effect on the environment as well, which is why I'm still waiting for somebody to ask me about Maynard.
Well, I don't know if he's going to, but first we're going to go to Jeff Morgan.
Hi, Gisele. Thank you so much for what you do. I was blown away by the number of 1 million between San Mateo County and Santa Clara, and I looked at the census, and it looks like there's 2.5 million population between the two. So if you have 1.8 you're serving now, that's like 2 meals per person per year. And I just want to get a sense of the breadth. It's just, what's the actual depth? I mean, what is it? What is this? Is there an average person that's trying to get fed? And how many meals would you need to serve to meet that kind of need in 2 counties?
You know, if you had asked me that question 2.5 years ago, I could have probably given you pretty straightforward profile. Unfortunately, as a result of what's been going on between COVID and unemployment rising and the jobs that folks lost their jobs, that we end up serving those jobs not coming back, the high cost of everything, the profile is shifting. We're seeing more and more folks who are working who just simply can't make things work economically, and then something has to come off the table. And usually, unfortunately, it's food. You're right, 1.8 million, it sounds like a lot. But when you think about the numbers of people who are in need, you know, we could be easily doing double that and more. And because we in this room, we don't go hungry. We don't eat just once a day. And if we skip a meal, it's because we choose to, not because we have no other choice. So before it was primarily folks who were unhoused and unemployed. Now the mix is almost 55, 45, with 45% being working and still unable to make ends meet. So they come to us. So yeah, it's just going to be an ongoing issue until we can really get our hands around the economic constraints, the employment constraints, the housing constraints, and the education.
I think we've got another question over here on the side.
40% of food, I believe, is wasted in the US, and it's a problem on an institutional level and on an individual level. So how do we get across the message that it's unacceptable? And I see it every day. I go to restaurants like, wow, like they just spent money on food and they just left it there. and they didn't think twice about it. So it's bizarre. Your thoughts?
Sure. You may have heard of something called SB 1383, so which came into law January of this year. This was the first year, but folks have known about it for a couple of years that it was coming. It is a new state law that requires academic institutions, restaurants, any company having dining centers, any places like Center for Performing Arts, wherever large quantities of food are served, must by law divert a certain percentage of those meals out into the community. So we've been able to help a lot of our corporate partners get a jump on that by partnering with them and already getting those meals out into the community and helping them lower their footprint already. You're going to be hearing more and more about SB 1383 and the consequences, which is everybody's been given a year, and then the fines start. And the fines are not insignificant. They are quite substantial. So there's a lot of movement now to try and find ways that these entities can partner with organizations like us to divert this food so that it doesn't end up out in the landfills and it becomes much more of a zero-sum game for them.
Celeste?
Hi, Gisele. Wonderful presentation. I'd like you to.
Our banker, full disclosure.
I'd like to have you tell us about Maynard.
Thank you. So anyone on our team, oh, by the way, let me tell you a little bit just for a second about our team. So we do 1.8 million meals. We're going to exceed 2 million meals, and we do it with a staff of 22. And they are some of the hardest working, dedicated people of the heart that you're ever going to meet. You know, so, but any one of them will tell you that I like to name things. So when COVID hit and we had to go from congregate dining to individually packaging every single one of our meals, we bought a meal packaging equipment named Ollie. So we have 2 Ollies down in the kitchen, and their employees number 23 and 24. Employee 25 is Maynard. So does anybody or does everybody know what a thermophilic anaerobic biodigester is? It's Maynard. Maynard is where did it go? I have it here. Oh, okay. It's after the thank you slide. Sorry. There we go. So Maynard is a thermophilic anaerobic biodigester. And for those of you who garden and for those of you who compost, it takes what, about a month for compost to become usable material? Maynard can do it in 24 hours. Maynard has made us be the first zero food waste nonprofit organization in the United States. We're very proud of Maynard because this was one element this was one part of that loop that we just really wanted to close. Because as we get a lot of food donated to us and we glean through it, you know, you're gonna find food that you just can't use. We were throwing it away because there was nothing else we could do with it until we purchased Maynard. And now we don't throw anything away. And it all goes into this. And out comes a very clean, very nutrient-dense material that we give away. So please let us know if you would like some of this material. We've sent it out for testing and everything. The ratio is for every 8 pounds of dirt you have, you add 1 pound of Maynard material. And we give it away because for us, it's a way for us to say thank you to all of the folks who have been helping us. So we send it out to all of the farms that provide us with food. We give it to the city of San Jose for all of the parks and rec, all of the rose gardens and all of that. You know, the San Jose Garden Club uses our material. They keep telling us it's the cleanest material that they've been using. So for us, it's just a way to close the loop and be a zero food waste organization. It's made by a company called Harp Renewables out of Ireland, and they have much larger sizes than the one that we have in the back of our building. But this is Maynard. So thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the time we've got actually for questions. Thank you so much. And I want to let you know that a donation is being made on your behalf to San Jose Jazz's Jazz Aid Fund. Help keep our musicians working here. And thank you for being here. All right. Oh. All right, so here we are. There's some more information on if you want to contact Loaves and Fishes and find out and help them out with what they're doing. So next week, no regular meeting, but of course we have our Bob Keefe holiday celebration right here. Yeah, let's cheer for that. That's going to be a great time. Hopefully I'll also see a lot of you tonight as President-elect Karen Philbrick's hosting our Christmas in the Park celebration and dessert reception at the 88. But that is it. I've got two final things to mention, which is that we got a couple of bell rings on Zoom. Jeff Pelly rings a bell for Heather once, and Brian Adams rings it 3 times, once for Heather, once for Tom Coombs, and once for Mauricio Cordova. Thank you to everyone for your generosity, and keep the good times rolling until we see you next week. Meeting adjourned.